that resonates with them. So again, it goes back to being super hyper aware of how to treat people and how to put people first. You know, it's the platinum rule versus the golden rule of treat people the way they want to be treated, and to really kind of zone in on what resonates with them and what connects with them, making it all about them. Because again, when you make it about them, they're going to communicate back to you more effectively and quicker. And I've really come to learn, like, some of my team members, they even communicating with each other, they'll say, we sent an email out trying to get someone to replace us in the show tonight and nobody replied. And I said, did you pick up the phone and call them? I'm like, not everybody reads email. Not everybody reads text messages. It's really, again, getting to know people and understand what makes them tick and how they're wired. And that's, to me, very key in communication.
Mm-hmm. Hindu, what about the channel of communication? A lot of your business is face as one-on-one, but I know some stuff that other people don't know here about the different businesses you have. One of them being a higher education, accredited higher education, online education, and not just about that business, but some of your other businesses. Talk about the channels of communication and, text messages. We all know this, is that sometimes you text something to somebody and there's no voice inflection, and you can take it one way and it means something totally different.
You can start a war. You can start World War III with a text message. Just there is no vocal tones in that. I really. I'm better face to face, but I've realized really, really quick that not everybody communicates face to face the way that I do. And so I've really had to tone back the way I text message people, because I can come off so abrasive at times, especially when I'm coming at my team members. I can really just, be so blunt and so upfront, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but it comes off like I'm just absolutely blasting somebody. And that's not always the case. And when you start talking about higher education, it's one thing that I'm really hitting that threshold as far as the age gap goes, to where, I'm 38 now. I don't communicate necessarily like a millennial, but I don't feel like I communicate, like a Generation Xer, which is what I actually am. So, I got to make sure that it doesn't matter what industry that you're in, you've got to make sure that you're communicating the way that other people can hear you. I loved what Gina said when it was the platinum rule. I mean, like, literally, we could have stopped the blab on that one right there, just simply because that was the most perfect thing that you could say, is you got to communicate where other people actually hear you, and they actually do what you're saying. So it doesn't matter, how you communicate, whether it's through Facebook. I will tell you, I found out though that if he's answering back on an instant message on Facebook, he's probably a little bit older. My kids think Facebook is the oldest thing that has ever been around. Like, if I say MySpace, they don't even know what MySpace is. And so, you can really, it just depends on what target demographic that you're actually going after, how you need to communicate with them, and be open to all forms of communication. Because if you're closed-minded and you're only saying, hey, we're only doing email blast, or hey, we're only doing dark posts on Facebook, or hey, we're never going to get on a blab, or tweet this and tweet that, I'm never going to tweet. If you're closed-minded, then you're not going to be successful. You're going to limit the number of people that you actually reach out to. And I just believe that goes against everything that you could possibly want to do in business. It doesn't matter what your business is. It doesn't matter if you're selling marbles or horseshoes or online classes. It doesn't matter. You got to make sure that you reach the masses.
What's some of the things, AJ, with you being in marketing for so long, there's been times, I'm sure, that you've had to communicate a special that one of your courses was going to have. And if you don't communicate it effectively to the people that are listening, that audience that we're trying to attract in Myrtle Beach and play, maybe they react like not in the way that we want them to, as far as maybe they don't take advantage of the offer that you're giving because the communication was ineffective, or they take advantage of it because they thought that they got more than what really was there because the communication process was broken. So does that give you anything to talk about for a second?
Yeah, it actually we actually start by once we create the package Okay, number one, you've got duplicate locations. You got 4 or 5 golf courses. You've got you're actually building something, talking to different ownerships. Okay, but this is where the problem comes. We don't directly promote that to the customer. We now have about 150 different people that have to promote that package. Okay, so now we have to communicate to them people. We have to make sure they have it correct. Everybody wants to go paperless, which is a bad word in your industry, John. But we can't. We actually have to have paper to explain this, where they can see it, visualize it through communication, visual communication, also calling them and also meeting with them. They then have to put it in their way of promoting it to their guests. So there's a lot of ways that this could fail, right? So number one, I would say, whenever you're putting something together, always know that it's never going to be 100% perfectly communicated. Okay. The main thing is this. Now we have the referee, the person at the front line. That's the one that we really want to make sure is communicated with all the obstacles and all the promotions. So we're actually communicating in 3 different ways to make one project work.
Right. So
does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So how about this, Jonathan? There's been times, and I don't know if Gina had to get off or not, because Gina, she had some deadlines that she told me about ahead of time. And Gina, if you did get off, man, I really, really appreciate you and your value that you add to this blab. But Jonathan, there's been times with all the businesses that you have, and AJ can attest to this, that sometimes when we communicate, guys, and if we're not communicating in the right way, like we tell too much, right? I think I got this line from you, Jonathan, is that we can verbally vomit on people, right? Like we could tell too much of whatever it might be, because people are very, very intelligent species, that we tend to take the information we have and we try to figure out whatever it is that you're trying to tell us by telling us too much information. You want to talk at all about that? Can you add to that, what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a company that I'm heavily involved with right now, and I'm working with right now. Is I actually, I hate to use the word messing up, because they're not messing up, but what you got to be careful of the way that you communicate with different things, because if the marketplace isn't ready for your language, then you're going to be in trouble. Case in point, does anybody remember the Lisa?
The Lisa.
Yeah, exactly. Steve Jobs' computer?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, right. Way too much communication. It freaked people out, and it wasn't effective in the marketplace. But I'm on a MacBook Pro right now.
Boom.
You see what I'm saying? But I'm not on the Lisa, and so you got to be ready. Your target audience has to be ready for the language that you're using, and so. I'm working with a company right now that they're using a lot of different language that is confusing the marketplace. And if they're not careful, the way that they flood the marketplace, it's going to confuse a lot of people. And so, I'm trying to say, look, fellas, we need to rein it in. We need to, that's awesome and it's great. And yeah, it's going to be so effective when the time's right. But right now, the time's not right for that type of language. So you better know your target audience, and you better know how they talk. Because if you don't know how they talk, it doesn't matter if you're tweeting, it doesn't matter if you're blabbing, it doesn't matter if you're Facebooking. If you don't speak their language, then you're done. You're just completely done.
Man, that's right. So you got to speak the language. It's almost, I've used the word before with salespeople or people in marketing, is that you've got to be a chameleon, meaning that you've got to be, I think effective communications, if it's family, if it's business, if it's marketing, that you've got to be a chameleon, meaning that you've got to know the language that your audience speaks. So if that audience is speaking to you in a way that, that it's not traditional how you speak, the best way for me is to listen first. Just exactly what Gina tells us and tells us what to do. So you listen first, and then what does a chameleon do? It copies its surroundings, right? Like it can look like the tree branch, or it could look like the grass, or it could look like the yellow flower. So in marketing and sales, when we're listening, and even at home with our kids, is like listen and then speak to them. Now, granted, it's funny if I start saying some of the slang terms my kids say, right? It doesn't go with the 47-year-old male here, right? So I understand that. Don't be what you're not. but be educated enough that when you're speaking and when you're communicating back and forth, be it home, be it family, be it business, be it marketing, that we need to do this. So, you know, for instance, I think one of the best ways to, and I'm going to give some high level stuff here, Jonathan, and guys, and I got to give kudos to Hindu, because me and him are buddies. He's taught me a lot in business, but this is something that I learned from him, is that, and I've used it in all my businesses now, in order to get someone's attention, because that's what we need, right? When we're speaking, we need your attention, because if you're tuned into something else, you're not listening, which it's bi-directional. It's symbiotic relationship communicating, right? You got someone talking, someone listening, and again, it goes back and forth really fast. So if you're talking, I'm meeting my friend AJ for the first time, and I'm just listening about his problems in business, or maybe it's life, maybe it's relationships, whatever. And I say, hey, AJ, if there was a way, blank, would you give me a few minutes so I can share with you some ways that can help you out of that problem? So Hindu, you know, you're a coach and you've coached people on this. You want to talk to it, or are we giving away too much information?
Yeah, I'll talk to it just real quick. No, that's pretty cool. But it doesn't matter what business that you're in. It doesn't matter if you're pastoring a church. It doesn't matter if you're running the local water company, or it doesn't matter whatever you're doing. You know, it's contact, ruin, salvage, offer. You know, contact, ruin, salvage, offer.
Write that note down.
Yeah, and so it goes along the lines to what Gina was saying about that you got to be able to shut up and listen. You got to be able to ask those questions to be able to gain the information or the knowledge, so that way you can put yourself or position yourself to be successful in whatever avenue that you're in. So, you know, if I met, you know, AJ, I'd say, you know, hey AJ, how are you, man? You're in the golf industry. How long have you been in the golf industry? And I'm going to listen. You know, really, how's it working out for you? You know, what do you find most effective? What do you find? And I'm just sitting there and I'm taking mental notes on how it's going to affect me. And maybe it's to the point to where I actually take the mental notes, and when I leave, I write them down, so that way the next time that we can meet, I can actually remember what we were talking about in the conversations. And so, you know, if AJ's got, how AJ, you know, for me, it would be to ask AJ how his wife's doing, you know, ask him how his wife's doing, how his kids doing. I got to remember, his wife, I got to remember his kids. I got to make sure that we keep that open dialogue, because that's just the contact. You know, I'm ruining the whole way. And by ruining, I'm not meaning that you're doing anything bad to him, but you're just gaining the information, so that way you can be able to say exactly what you just said, John. Because at the end of the day, if I said, hey, AJ, if I had a way for you to be able to pick up 2 more clients, would you be willing to take a look at it?
Right.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it has to, make it the absolute biggest no-brainer. So you got to become that effective communicator. That's why I love what Gina does so much with the improv, because, you know, you just can't script everything out. You know, it's so easy if you could just, you know, on God's phone, just type in a script and just talk to everybody. It's God's phone. I got it. Right? Yeah. If you could just type in that script and you could just script it out, but sometimes you have to improv. You know, there's tons of people that just like to give you those short 1-word answers. You know, you talk to them, hey, what's up?
Right.
You doing good today? Yep. You're like, God, man, I'm going to have to pull this info out. So with those people, you're going to have to be a better communicator, just to be able to get the information that you need to be able to ruin them. And then, you know, you got to offer salvage the conversation. If I had a way, would you be willing to take a look at it? So that's how we do that.
Man, it's helped us so much in business to add more business to our different organizations, and I totally appreciate that. I mean, I tell you guys, like, some of this stuff is going to be high speed, and this is the cool part about what we do, is that here's Gina's coming back on with us, because she is a master communicator. But you know what? More importantly, I think to be a master at anything, to be an expert at anything, you've got to overcome any challenge, obstacle, or anything. Because Gina could have said, look here, I got a bad connection. And she could have just bailed, but she's getting ready to come back on through her other channel that she has there. So I'm excited about that. But I think when we're communicating, guys, is that, you know, being an expert is being able to take it out. Like Jonathan just said, so many people are not great at communicators that they're going to just shut down. So if it's in sales or if it's with our kids or whatever, again, whatever way we're talking, that they're going to just shut down and they're going to go one-word answers, right?
You can't assume. That's the people get in so much trouble by assuming things. Like if AJ assumes that that this tournament's being promoted in a certain way, if he just assumes that and it's not, then he's in trouble. And so the only thing that we're talking about, I think it just kind of boils down to what everybody's talking about, is making sure that you're asking the right questions, then shutting up and listening. If you just do those, it will help you be a better communicator, because if you just do that and you don't assume, and then when you get the right information, if you're making sure, if you're taking the time out to be able to bring value to whoever you're wanting to provide a service or a tool to, if you're honest with them and upfront with them, then you're going to be successful. So, man, I'm just telling you, this is good stuff here today.
It is. So part of our communication and us experts on this panel is that we need to ask, some people out there, like, well, you guys are out in the field every day, AJ and Hindu and Gina, and what are some of the things that you're thinking that people are wanting to hear about? What are some of the problems that are out there? Like for I don't know, Foley's not with us today, but he's going to watch this a little bit later, is that, Foley always says, what's the pain point, right? What's everybody's pain point? People who want to make sales, and they want to make, now we have a higher end consumer, a higher end golf player, a more savvy buyer, or somebody looking for different education models. So like AJ, what's the communication process that you have to have? So you got to communicate on two levels. You got to communicate to the guy to spend money with you in order for you to communicate their message to the end user. So that's two different hats and two different ways you communicate. Right. So how, not with examples, but how do you speak to the owner of the golf course or the person making that decision? And then how do you speak to the person buying?
With the owner of the golf course, I basically cast a vision. I just basically communicate what I see, what they haven't seen. With the customer or the provider, as we call them, okay, I basically have to communicate the vision to them too. So I'm actually doing the same thing, but I'm communicating it in two different ways, but the end result is the same, right? With the owner, okay, I'm actually casting a vision of that. I'm going to communicate everything that they have in their mind and in their product to the person that can actually sell it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because I wanted to add something to something that you said earlier. Whenever I go and visit a customer, okay, this is what we call boots on ground. When I'm doing my boots on ground communication, there's no texting, there's no emails, there's no phone calls. It's one-on-one, belly to belly, okay? I have to make sure that I shut up and listen, okay? It's so hard because you also have to read the situation. I don't set up appointments. You set up appointments, in my opinion, in my world, when it's boots on ground time, it takes more time communicating and setting up the meeting than it does just walking in and just kind of feeling out the situation and then figuring out how much time I have with this person and what can I communicate with them at that time. Yeah,
absolutely.
Is it
That's good.
one product,
That's
10
good.
products?
Yeah. So how about preferred channel of communications? Hindu, we got a couple different. Well, AJ and I about the same. You're a little bit younger. What's the preferred channel that you're seeing out there for people, just in generalization?
Yeah, in generalization, it just depends on your relationship with them, along with the age. So, for me, if you're gonna want to get in touch with me, John, because we're buddies, right? Then you're gonna need to text me. If you call me, it's going to be a lot harder to get me if you call me than it is if you text me. If you text me, I can respond right back. So, for someone like me, especially with our relationship, it's going to be easier to get me like that. Now, if AJ is wanting to, put on a golf event with my college or something like that, the easiest way for him to be able to get my attention is for him to first reach out and send me some information about him through an email, and then for him to come boots on ground, face to face me. Because if he texts me, I'm going to ignore it about that. But if he puts his face in front of mine, then it's going to work a lot cleaner. So like we said earlier, there's tons and tons of different forms of communication, but I just believe that you've got to know your target audience to be able to, like I have one organization that, it's belly to belly. It's all belly to belly. It's face to face. If you send an email or a text message, then nothing's going to happen. I've got another one that if you were to text or to email blast, then you're going to get nothing. But if if you're face to face with that person, then you're good. Or it just depends on where it's at. So there is no right or wrong. You just got to be willing to put the effort in. I think it's, there's a lot of people out there that claim to be hustlers, and I feel like I'm just rambling right now, but so I'm just going to kind of wrap it up with this. There's a lot of people out there that feel like they're hustlers and that they work a lot, but you can't waste your time. A lot of people spend the majority part of their time wasted. You got to fail faster. You got to go screw it up. You got to text people more. You got to go. The more you're in front of somebody, the more likely you have an opportunity to be able to put your product or service in their use. So you got to make sure that you're doing that. And if you're doing that, then you win. So, John, I appreciate you having me on today, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You always give so much value and bring so much stuff to this, and we're going to do it again. What I love for you to stay on for a second. If you got to go, I get it, because now what I'm going to do is ask the other side of the communication flip. We've got some viewers that are watching, and we got some people logged on listening, and I'm just going to reach out there. If you guys want to ask a question or send something, please go ahead and put there. Like, maybe you've got an issue on trying to communicate with somebody, or you're just having a roadblock with something. You don't have to be specific. Just say what it is, and let's see if one of these experts can help you out. Maybe that there's something that you want to learn about, because see, we're gaining momentum with our blabs, and I think that we're adding value to people's lives. Maybe if it's business life or personal life, whatever it might be, value is value, and I think that's good. But the only way we could do that is by communicating with you guys, communicating with the viewers, and tell us what you want to hear. See, all I'm doing is I'm listening. I'm brainstorming with some masterminds every single day, and I try to listen. Right? Gina taught us that is listen more than you talk. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you talk is what I heard, and to be an effective communicator a long time ago. I actually heard that through a friend of mine, Foley. And anyway, I want to hear what you guys want to know. What do you want to know? What's burning inside here to get to the next level in business? Right? What is your pain point? What can't you get past? And I'm holding on while people may be typing up some messages. For me, all I know is that people have the hardest time is making appointments. And I don't care. It's whatever widget you sell. It's selling printing. It's selling golf. It's selling higher education. The biggest thing is to get in, because what I found out is that people, be they rich or be they poor, they value their time the same. They protect their time. So as a communicator, if we do not effectively let them know that what we have to share with them is going to help them sell more of their widgets or change their life, they're not going to meet with you, right? You guys don't want to talk about that, either one of you guys?
Go ahead, AJ.
Guess what I was doing? This is the naked truth, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to confess, I was reading all the messages on the side.
All right.
Go ahead, Jonathan Henderson. I wasn't paying attention. But I was reading all the messages.
That's why I love this. It's because it's real. Because that right there is definitely real. Yeah, for sure. I'll speak to that. The time's the one thing that you can't make any more of, and time's the only thing that we put a monetary value to. And so when you really look at it, it's at the end of the day, if you're going to go out there and you're going to set an appointment, you better be an effective communicator just to be able to get the appointment. And then when you have the appointment, you better be an effective communicator while you're there. Otherwise, you're never going to get another appointment. And we know that in sales, you're probably going to have to ask somebody to buy somewhere around 5 times just to be able to put your first product in that person's hands. And so if you screw it up on the first time, if you don't value that person's time the first time, you're probably not going to get a second time. And so you got to make sure that you're bringing constant value, whether they're buying from you or not. See, we think that we make the sale whenever the product exchange hands, whenever money exchanges hands, but that's not when the sale is made. The sale can be made in the opening communication part, whether it's just a hi, how are you, before you ever ask them to buy, you could go ahead and sell way before that. So, John,
That's
I think
great.
that answers your question.
No,
right?
that's absolutely awesome, man. That's awesome. Oh,
I wanna add
AJ,
to that.
sorry, you're back on.
I would like to add to that. Be truthful. When you have walked into a meeting and you're communicating, okay, just be truthful, because that's what's helped me with my sales, marketing, everything I do. I want to build a real relationship, and with great communications and being truthful. One lie leads to about 1,000 lies. So I've always been truthful, and that's always kept my communications so simple.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, recapping, because we're wrapping it up, we've been on about 45 minutes or so. Some of the things that we talked about was for effective communications, in case you haven't written these notes down, and we are recording this, that you'll be able to see it at a later time, is that effective communicators understand that these are what's important. And guys, I want you my blab hosts, to listen along, and if we miss anything, it's honesty, and it's being truthful. Two different things here. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to be truthful with yourself, but you also with the audience. You've got to say what you mean and mean what you say. You want to make sure you have value, that you're giving value to, if it's your children or if it's your customers, if it's your spouse or if it's your parents. You want to give value with the communication. And then one of the things is you need to know what the preferred channel is. And sometimes that's not what you say to somebody that maybe is 80 years old. You're not going to say, hey, what's your preferred channel of communication? They're going to look at you like you're nuts. You're going to say, what's the best way to get a hold of you, right? And those are the things that I have taken away, and I've wrote notes while we've been going along. And our friend Gina, she went by every obstacle, jumped over every single hurdle, and she's back on with us right now. I think she was listening along the way. Gina, are you there?
Oh my God, I'm like on laptop number 3.
Gina's back, baby. Gina's back.
I love it.
I've got multiple laptops, phones, tablets, MiFis, Wi-Fis, but I'm here communicating.
Love it.
All right.
So I think you've heard a little bit about while we were going along, and some of the other things that we were saying. So how about just add those nuggets, because I know whatever you're going to say is going to be worth it.
The nugget I'm going to add right now is persistency. And when things aren't going your way communication-wise, just don't give up. Just keep doing it, because one of my favorite authors is Patrick Lencioni, and in one of his books, I can't remember which one, he says repeat, repeat, repeat. And it really resonated with me, because he said people don't hear you until they're ready to hear you. And so you have to repeat the message. You have to repeat the message over and over again, and you can't get aggravated about it. You just repeat it. Eventually people will hear your message. So that would be my nugget.
I think a lot of times, you guys, in as much business as everyone's done here, is that do you realize and do you agree with the fact that sometimes people hear what they want to hear?
Oh yeah.
Does anyone relate to that? That they hear, like, people hear what they want to hear. Like, we talk about what we're going to do on a print project maybe, and they're like, when they get it done, they go, well, I thought it was going to be two-sided. I don't know, here's the estimate. It doesn't say that. But I think on our end, and to be a servant and to be effective, is that we've got to communicate it more effectively. Maybe, like I'm talking to myself now, is maybe that we reach out and we give somebody an estimate, and then we go over the estimate. Just don't assume that they received it via email, right? Because how many times we just send an email off and we expect everybody got that email. See, that's part of communications, right? Yeah. So sending a text follow-up or maybe a phone call. See, I'm still old school, Jonathan, not like you young whippersnapper. I'm picking up the phone and I'm going, man, he put me to the voicemail. Yeah. That's right. Power, baby. So I think, understanding and after some communications goes, the follow-up it's all in the follow-up. You just said, Gina, to go ahead and repeat. Keep going. Don't give up. Persistency. Mm-hmm. How many times have you guys talked about between your own groups and between ourselves it's like, the money's always in the follow-up, right? How many people have lost business for not following up?
Yep.
Right? I mean, everybody here's got a story about that.
Absolutely.
So, some advice or a little nugget I'll throw out there, and just to magnify what you said, Gina and Jonathan and AJ, is that, you gotta keep going. You gotta follow up. You got to go and make sure that you get it, because guess what? When you do that, remember, a lot of channels of communication. We won a big print award. Simply, we weren't the cheapest, but I sent a handwritten note. Is that a form of communicating? Handwritten note to the guy, just saying, thanks for the opportunity. How many other people you think do handwritten notes nowadays?
Hey, I got one for you. I sent lobster tails to someone to get their attention as a follow up.
But now you got our attention.
I know. Where's mine?
I sent a lobstergram to get a Fortune 500 company's attention to get on, and we didn't get the job, but I will tell you, we made it in the top 3 for bids. With a huge gazillion-dollar company, and we didn't get the contract, and it's fine because it wasn't the perfect fit. But I created a really good relationship with them because I thought outside of the box.
Right. And thinking outside the box is so important. I just had a viewer say that they don't do handwritten anything, and that's okay. See, somebody in my life that was super successful told me about the handwritten note thing, and I said, I write like a doctor. Like, it looks like a prescription in Latin when you read my writing. But this is what I know: when somebody gets that. Nowadays, most things that come in the mail are bills, right?
Yep.
I mean, they're bills, and they're stuff that you don't want to read. And you get a little tiny note that says, hey, thanks so much, man. I was thinking of you. Or even an unsolicited note, just somebody we've done business with in the past. And you write, you know what? I was thinking about you today. I just want to let you know that, man. I hope all is well. And that goes so far, and it strengthens the relationship. And in today's business times, I think if you communicate effectively and you can build a relationship and nurture, you've got the business, right? You just got to look at them in the rings.
Yeah, people buy from you for 2 reasons, and 2 reasons only, in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to say you won't sway me from this, or maybe add another one up there, but I'm pretty stuck on these. I've been stuck on them for quite a few years now, and so it's because they know you're trust you. That's one reason why people buy, right? Or it's because of how you make them feel. It's an emotional. There is no logical decisions. If there was a logical decision, then we'd all be driving smart cars today, wouldn't we? But I drive an F-250 7.3 Power Stroke diesel, and the reason why is because the way that baby makes me feel when I crank it up. And so at the end of the day, it's all within that communication. Is how are you making people feel? Do they know you? Do they trust you? I'm just telling you, a text message can be very, very impersonal, or it can be very, very personal. It just depends on your relationship with that person. A handwritten letter could be very, very impersonal, or a handwritten letter could be very, very personal. It just doesn't matter. But here's the deal: do something. You got to communicate. You got to communicate somehow, some way, shape, or form. I have got to go communicate. I've got some other people right here that I got to get some business done. Remember, this blab's about people that actually do business, not people that just talk about doing business. So I've got to go do that. Guys, thank you for having me on. John, appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely. We're gonna see. We might see you Friday. I know we're gonna talk a little bit more about that, but I'll talk to you later, brother. Thank you for so much.
Yep.
See you guys.
See ya.
Yeah. So John,
I just wanted to add something. Sorry, because Hendo was talking about texting. I wanted to share this with the group. John Cassidy really is a high-tech guy, and the first time I ever got a text message with a video, it was the coolest thing. It was John. John actually videoed himself instead of taking a photo, and he sent the video to a group of us. And I'm telling you, that's probably one of the best ways to communicate if you want somebody to feel your passion. So I just wanted to add that. I was
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. You know, and I've learned from folks like Gina and Foley about those kind of things. And, you know, well, I think when you send a video and you have multiple senses being used in today's, because we get so many messages throughout the day, and if you got video and audio at the same time, and maybe you're reading something, is that you're more effective for sure. But one of the things that I love what's going on here is that we got some people, it's called the Naked Truth. And so we got people being real on here, just like what you said and Gina having some issues. But we got one of our viewers right now telling us he's being truthful, man. He's saying, listen, I've lost business because of the ineffectiveness of my communications, but I've learned from that. And what's amazing about learning from that is that you go to the next level, right? You learn. If you can learn from a mistake or from a fail, it's worth it, right? It had value in it. Everyone's so worried about failing, you know, and the way you learn, the way you succeed is you've got to fail first, right? You just don't become successful overnight. So, you know, so somebody is asking, the same person is asking, I've never heard of that or about the video. And so how I did that was, it was a text. It was no software or anything like that. And you know how you can video yourself with your phone. And I did it quick. You got to keep your videos very short because of the bandwidth. So you keep your video short and say a very fast message. Hey man, I need to talk to you at 5 o'clock. Make sure you call me. It's important. Right? And you send that quick video to one of your friends or one of your clients. I've got something that can change your business. I just figured it out. And we could sell 10 times the widgets you've been selling. Right? Call me later at 5 o'clock. I'm waiting for your call. Boom. And you send it off to them. They're going to reach back out to you. Video through text is actually absolutely, man. That's the way to go. And that's one of the ways. It's not like I'm just stuck in one method. Right? I try to figure out how do they like to communicate, what's most effective, and try to make those notes. If you try to make mental notes about that, it doesn't work. You'll forget who likes what, right? And so you just got to keep going. So what else we got? AJ, Gina fell off here. She lost connection, and we're kind of wrapping it up. Anything you want to say for the good?
I just wanted to say about the video text. You know, I've got people that may have asked me, you know, how's conditions of XYZ course? And I just happened to be there the next day, and I'm like, hey, look for yourself, check it out. And I send the text out. And, you know, yes, you can YouTube it, but texting, that was just such a great idea. You can get to your friends within seconds. So, yeah, you
know, don't forget, absolutely, the text can be sent not just through an instant message, but the video can not only go through a text, but you can also send it as an instant message on a social channel or also a video. Email. I found it very effective with emails and attachment, you know, letting them know in the subject line that, hey, this is me. I'm not just not sending to an audience that doesn't know you. They're going to think it's a virus. So, you know, you got to use that accordingly, but most effective all the way through. Yeah. Absolutely, the text with video, I love it. Great way to, you know why? Because people can see your excitement when you're doing it, right? Remember when I sent that to you? I was like, hey man, you got to call me up. I found something big. So it's pretty cool, guys. What's great, and I'm super excited about. Hold on, we got somebody calling in right now. And, let's see. Let's bring on this Anissa. I think it's Anissa.
Anisha.
She's coming on. See what they got to say. And anything else you guys want to hear? Dan Reeves, thanks for joining. Awesome. Dan Reeves on there. So, you know, these things are fun. We do these every Monday and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and we talk about the naked truth about different business things. So if there's some topics you guys want to hear about, please list them down below and send a message, and we'll be happy to put it together. I'll get a panel of experts that have been super successful one way or another in business, and we just talk about the topic, and we talk all about it, you know. When we say naked truth, I have not always been an effective communicator. I've lost a lot of business because I used to not follow up. I lost a lot of business because all I wanted to hear was John's voice. I wanted to show people how great I was, how great my company was. And it's not about me. When I started hanging out with people and learning people from people that are super successful, is that you just model them and do what they do. And when I heard from some of these people say, listen, when you're doing your pitch, it's not about you. If you're always out selling and not sharing, you're going to get that, you know. And I've made a whole dynamic change in our business philosophy that our communication is, because I got to learn the most about you and my client in order to add value for them. If I can add value for them, there's no issue about price. There's no issue about closing a sale because it's already done. Does that make sense?
Yes, John. You know, that's what I started. I learned that about a year ago. Really, it's funny what you can learn, and we can still learn, guys. Always be the dumbest guy in the room. I always like to say that. And you know, if it's about them, then they will appreciate the quality time that you're giving them and what you're selling them. So communicate about them, right? Find out about them. What do they like? What their family's all about? What are their dreams? Where do they want to be? And then try and help them get to that through whatever you're selling, really.
Right. You know, and there's something that's pretty good, and I love it. I love it. Once again, naked truth is that I have one of our viewers, Spirit Meet the Soul, just said that you should balance it out with unsuccessful people too. So I love what you're saying there, and I love the direction. But this is the one thing that I want to say is that I don't believe that there's unsuccessful people. I just believe that they're going through the process. And it's not that they're unsuccessful at all, that everyone's successful. The only way you are unsuccessful is you quit whatever it is you're doing. Then you're unsuccessful. For what I think that what Spirit Meets the Soul, what I'd like to do is, how about we bring on some people that are new to business? We bring on people that are maybe haven't had the season yet go by. And I love that idea about bringing some people on. So here's my invitation to Spirit Meet the Soul is that, hey man, you shared a lot of good stuff and you were open and honest and sharing about you had some failures, but you're working on it and you learn from it. And I love that. And because of that, I want to have you as one of our guests on Friday at 2 p.m. that we're going to do the Naked Truth. Now you and I got to communicate a little bit off this channel, just so I let you know what we're going to be talking about. And I talked to AJ about this. I like it candid. I don't like it scripted. I want people to think off their cuffs. So with that, if you want to reach out to me, man, I think I followed you, and we'll communicate. Okay. Yeah. No, nothing astronomical. No. I love it, man. You're perfect. Thumbs up. Perfect, man. Awesome. Guys, anybody else out there that wants to throw me some topics y'all want to hear next Friday, this Friday coming up, 2 p.m. We're going to be on here, The Naked Truth. What are some topics you want to hear? You know what's awesome, guys, is while this blab's been going on, it's been growing. So we're getting closer to the end because all of us got to get back to work, but we've had over 49 people join this blab, but it's pretty cool. I've been seeing a lot of blabs out there, and a lot of people talking about maybe stuff that isn't relevant to me. I don't want to say it's nonsense, but it's irrelevant to me, so it doesn't get my attention. I think that this one's getting a lot of people's attention. It's pretty cool. Perseverance is a topic. I love that. Dan Reeve is a superstar in the engineering business and the telecommunications and software business. I appreciate that. Perseverance. So I'm going to write that down. And anybody else want to throw out anything, we'll get it going. So perseverance. And I'll also suggest, meaning that it just never giving up, consistency. And if you look at anyone through history that has been successful, it's been through perseverance and success. Like Gina today, she kept trying to get back on. She's having some technical challenges on her end, I think, and she went through 3 laptops, right? She wanted to be on here and try to give some nuggets. So awesome deal. And guys, we're gonna wrap it up. You know, I don't want to just sit here and talk. My favorite topic these days is learning how to identify my assumptions and challenge myself to investigate. Love it, man. I'd love to know more about what you do, Spirit Meet the Soul. So let's definitely connect outside of this on Twitter. And photographer, awesome, dude. Awesome. Great. I love it. Anything in particular? Do you do photography for? Hey, man, get on right now with us. Hit the open seat. Let's do it. Let's talk. This is what I like about this blab. We can go as long as we want to go, right?
How's it going, guys?
Matthew. Hey, man, nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So tell us a little bit about your business background. You've been in business for a while. You're a photographer.
Yeah, I'm basically unemployable because I would like to have a job, but I would like to have a really good, intelligent boss who I could grow from. And if I'm not in those conditions, it's just never worked out for me. So I've been forced to just figure it out, to hustle, So I've had numerous businesses. All of them have been somewhat successful, although I'm just, in a sense, kind of scraping by. I mean, we homeschool, so we only have one salary, so that adds more pressure for me. But nonetheless, I'm doing fine. I've doing just as well as anybody else, I think.
Right. So what we'd love to do is have you come on Friday with us, and we're going to talk about maybe perseverance. Obviously, you know a lot about that because you said you've gone through a few different businesses and learn more about your story, and that's what we find out through this whole deal. And this communication too. I want to wrap it back into the communication effectiveness. It's about how do you communicate, how do you get through to that person. Like Gina told about sending a Lobstergram to people. She couldn't get into them, right? She couldn't reach out to them. So she sent them the Lobstergram. So for me, I have a similar stories that I couldn't get through to somebody that makes a decision in buying printing, and they wouldn't take a letter didn't work, a phone call didn't work, Facebook, LinkedIn, nothing was working, and stalking them a little bit and seeing some of their interests, I sent this person a model car of the 65 GTO that they had on their desk, and that person took my call the next time, right? You think about that. So you got to get creative, got to get outside of the box, and you just be. I think creativity is a big part of it as well when you're communicating. So what kind of things do you shoot with in photography?
Well, actually, what I really do is I'm a songwriter, but I'm not a professional songwriter yet. So if you want to talk about perseverance, I'm 40 years old. I've been a songwriter for like 25 years now, and I haven't gotten anywhere with it. But actually, I'm more motivated now than ever. And one of the things that are motivating me so much is this boxer. I'm not actually really into boxing that much. It's a UFC fighter named Conor McGregor. Have you ever heard of this guy? I
have not. I have to check him out. I'm writing it down.
Well, the guy's pound for pound the best fighter on earth, but it's his attitude that blows me away. This guy, he's undefeated, and he's undefeated for reasons because nobody works harder than he does, man. And to me, I've heard about hard work. I've seen people work hard around me, but not at this level. Not where I see someone who's gonna win and that's it, and there's nothing else to talk about, and he's winning. And if he loses, fine, he's gonna get up and he's gonna win again next time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's kind of re-inspired me as well as far as my songwriting goes. And photography is it's kind of a love-hate thing. It's it's better than having a real job. I like it. It's okay, but it's not my passion,
Right. What I've found, and AJ, maybe you speak to this, is that through 47 years old, I'm 47. I've been in business since I was 20. So for myself, and along the way, the only way to get better was to hang out with successful people, right? And people that were more successful than me, people that had what I wanted out of life, which was more fun, more freedom, more fulfillment. And I just started hanging out with those people, listening to what they did, and then I copied them. I modeled them. Right. And what happens is it seems like it rolls around and all of a sudden it flips for you. And AJ, how many golf courses in Myrtle Beach, and now, your perseverance, we'll talk about that. Tell your story of your perseverance, and we'll wrap this up in the next 5 minutes just for time's sake. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Matthew, I actually had, as you were speaking, I had so many questions I had for you. And I suppose this goes back to communication. So I'm going to get to you in a second. But basically for me, I was on top of the hill. I was sales director for 23 golf courses over a period of 22 and a half years. And then boom, I get an email and I'm out. So the safety, the security of being an employee isn't worth it. So what you've been doing is amazing, and keep it up. It's better to be on your own, doing what you're doing, and having nobody up there to tell you which way you're going to walk and which way you're going to jump. So having said that, I jump and I just kept digging and digging and digging. I just picked up 3 golf courses last week, which 8 months ago when I started this new company, Worldwide Golf Marketing, I was told, no, they'll never do it. Things just happen. Things are going to happen when it's going to happen. As long as we keep knocking on the door and just preserving, just going for it, go for it, go for it, go for it. Never give up. So this was my questions to you, okay? We're communicating, so I'm just asking you questions as a friend, okay? You take pictures, you do photography so that you can do what really is your passion and write songs, right? Well, just by getting on here, okay, I see where, yes, you are a leader just by some of the stuff that you wrote on the side as I was reading the messages. Okay, so if we were communicating, and John and I know this, your network is your net worth. Well, you just blew up your network by 50 more people, okay, that are here for you as business partners, people that you're going to be hanging out with around the campfire to help build your business. Now, yes, you may have to take pictures, photos to get to the end result, but trust me, stay close to people like John, okay, and we will help. We're only a few years older than you. I'm actually going to be 48 next week, so I'm getting old. But you know,
you look 30.
Exactly. You are on the right track, Matthew. I mean, you are on the right track. And sometimes we don't know that, and we don't communicate that to ourselves. So going back to communications, okay, self-talk. When you're self-talking, you're communicating to yourself. So I say this to you, okay, that you are going to have a song, okay? It's going to come out there sooner or later. You may have to take 50 more photographs. You may have to take 5,000 more photographs. But you've got the passion, you've got the plan, and you know what? Self-talk, my friend. Communicate to yourself that you are the best. You're going to make it happen.
Well, the last thing I'm going to wrap it up with is something that we started with. When Hindu started talking about our communication process all starts with who? Ourselves. We have more conversations with ourselves than we do with everybody else. And something that I just listened to on the way back, I had a 4-hour drive yesterday, was a personal growth tape. I'm letting my age out. Personal growth CD I was listening to, and the audio actually said that you need to act the way you want to feel, and eventually you will feel the way you want to act. Right, so we don't need to. For me personally, guys, just like everybody on this panel, everybody listening, everybody in the world, I have problems, right? I mean, life happens to all of us, and all I know is that if you look at my social channels, guys, all I do is I always promote positive stuff. Everything's positive. Everything's positive. Everything's positive. I think we have enough in the media telling us about how bad stuff is. So remember, I act the way I want to feel, and eventually I feel the way I want to act. So the way that I act. And so with that, guys, I appreciate Matthew. I appreciate you just stepping out on a limb, coming out at the last couple of minutes with us and sharing your story,
man.
Pleasure,
guys.
Hats off to you. Let's connect, like I said, offline here on Twitter, and we'll talk about what we're going to talk about on Friday. And we're going to talk about perseverance and the naked truth about consistency. Dan Reeve threw it out there. We're going to do it. And guys, this is the naked truth. We're going to make this thing happen. We're going to tell you the truth about what it is, the good, the bad, the ugly. So tonight, here's your homework. You're going to be a better communicator through listening twice as much as you talk. Listen to your kids. Don't be the yelling at them, talking at them, because I'm talking to myself now. Don't just listen to them and see where their come from is, their why, whatever they're doing. Your spouse, your business partner, and then your customers. So guys, God bless everybody on here. I appreciate everybody's time, and I think we got something good going on. We'll see you on Friday.
See you all.
Naked Truth. See you later.
See you guys.